What's up, witches? My name is Taylor and I'm the Tempest Witch here on YouTube. And today we're going to talk about wood sorrel. Wood sorrel is a very common plant. A lot of people would mistake it for common clover. Instead of having the leaves that fan out, they fold back down onto themselves, making kind of like an arrowhead look. They're said to be slightly sour, but you can chew on them and they're very like crisp and refreshing. So vaguely remember as a kid, somebody, couldn't even tell you who, being like, hey, bite on that. And just, it's kind of lemony, it's very citrusy, refreshing. So you can just munch on these all day. Yellow wood sorrel, which is what this is, the only reason that I know that is because I saw the little yellow flowers. They've got 5 little yellow petals on them. Saw them earlier in spring. They've gone now just because it's so hot out, but these ones have little yellow flowers. Yellow wood sorrel is called Oxalis stricta. Just a general description. They can grow basically anywhere. As you saw in the video, I found mine on the edge of my garage, just chilling out of the concrete. So they don't really care as long as they're established enough and they don't have a very thick root system. It's a single tap root. It goes straight down. It doesn't have any fibrous roots. It's a small, low-lying plant that measures approximately 15 to 38 centimeters in height. This wildflower is easily recognized by its light green, clover-shaped leaves. Like we mentioned earlier, they're a lot lighter of a green than common clovers. That's the way you can tell. The flowers are also small, delicate, yellow in color with 5 petals. The clover-shaped leaves of the yellow wood sorrel are relatively small. The leaves are divided into 3 distinct lobes and have a mild sour taste. I wouldn't say it's sour necessarily, but it's citrusy. I wouldn't say when you bite into it, it's like biting a lemon, but you do get that little bit of just tartness. So not sour, but tart. That's the way I would put it. The leaves open at dawn and they close at dusk, or when they're exposed to environmental stressors like storms, major rain showers, stuff like that, they will close themselves to protect themselves. If they're spread out, it's a possibility that they could get scorched by the direct sun because it's so hot. So they flatten themselves so there's less surface area. So they can still create their chlorophyll, but it's not enough to like choke them out. Habitat: yellow wood sorrel grows best in open fields, along roadways, and around waste areas. It likes to be reasonably undisturbed, so if you've got an edge of your property that you don't see very often or don't tend to, you're probably gonna find wood sorrel there, which is pretty cool. But it's not super aggressive, it's not invasive, it's just kind of doing its own thing, you know? Yellow wood sorrel is also very widely known as sour grass because it leaves a mild sour taste. Every part of this flower, including the leaves, flowers, and seed pods, are all edible. Sorrel is a common addition to salads, soups, and sauces, and can also be made into a tea. Wood sorrel contains high levels of vitamin C, potassium oxalate, and oxalic acid, but there's a warning that potassium oxalate and oxalic acid are hazardous to people with kidney disease, arthritis, and gout. So if you have any of those ailments, just try to avoid this because you don't want to add those things into your body if your body is going to act adversely to it. Medicinally, in moderate doses, wood sorrel is cooling. It's a diuretic, it's soothing to the stomach and relieves indigestion. It's an astringent and a catalytic. It is also attributed to blood cleansing properties and is sometimes taken by cancer patients. Also, the whole plant, if you mash it up, you can make it into a yellowish orange dye, which is pretty neat considering that it's very green. You'd think it wouldn't come out that color, but if you make it into a paint or a dye, it's gonna come out kind of yellowy, so that's cool. Well, that's enough of that. Let's get into the books. All right, Scott, what you got for us? Wood sorrel, Oxalis acetosella. Folk names include cuckoo's meat, fairy bells, sour grass, sour trefoil, stickwort, stubwort, 3-leaved grass, and wood sour. The gender is feminine, the planet is Venus, the element is water, the powers are healing and health. Medicinal uses: if the leaves of the wood sorrel dried are carried, they preserve the heart against disease. And fresh wood sorrel placed in sick rooms aid with recuperation from illnesses and wounds. So it's just a healing herb, which is pretty nifty. So, a pocket guide to herbs. Native to Europe, Asia, and North America, sorrel grows widely in grasslands and open woods. The common name sorrel is said to come from the Old French sorrel, meaning sour, a reference to the plant's tart flavor. See, they got it right. It's tart, it's not sour. It has been used since ancient times as both a culinary and a medicinal herb, eaten by the ancient Egyptians and the Romans to aid digestion and used for blood cleaning and diuretic and cooling purposes. Applied externally, it was a treatment for skin disorders such as sores, ringworm, and scabs. High in oxalic acid, sorrel should not be consumed in excess. However, it is eaten in salads or cooked as a green vegetable in omelets and sauces. Then, wild edible plants. This one is actually like very in-depth. He describes it as a tart-tasting shamrock of a plant, but it grows basically everywhere in North America and up to about half of Canada, so it's everywhere. There are two kinds of yellow sorrel, Oxalis stricta and Oxalis corniculta, two of the yellow flowered wood sorrels. They are edible, delicious, and easily recognizable, and they're nearly identical, but they can be interchangeable, which is cool. Sometimes you'll get plants that there's two identical types of plants, and one of them's like highly toxic, poisonous, something. The other one's like completely harmless. It seems like these are both edible. Both of the yellow sorrels have high values of iron, calcium, and vitamin C. Even more surprisingly is the level of iron in Oxalis corniculta, which has been found to have 3 times the iron of spinach. Spinach currently provides the highest source of iron known for the cultivated green leaf. Oxalis, the genus and its plant family, Oxalidaceae, is named after the Greek word for sour, which is oxys. So everybody's just saying, it's sour, it's sour, it's sour. The sourness cannot be attributed to the oxalitic acids of the oxalates. Even though the oxalates are high, the sourness comes from the mixture of acids. In spite of many authors claiming so, oxalates are not a problem for normal healthy humans eating a normally diverse diet. If you're a vitamin deficient in some way, eating things that are high in oxalates or iron is probably going to be harmful to you because your body's not used to it. But if you're eating your leafy greens and you are plenty of iron in your diet and you're not anemic, you'll probably be okay eating this. There's another kind of wood sorrel, and this is a really good depiction. So you'll see the kind of wood sorrel we're dealing with, which is the shamrock shapes and the 5-petaled yellow flowers, but there's also a purple variety, which is pretty nifty. The plum shaded ones are still edible. Sometimes when you get plants that are different colors, certain varieties will be toxic, but it seems like the purple ones are still able to be eaten. How can you tell if it's wood sorrel or clover? I think this is important. Wood sorrel, as you can see, you've got the little petals, everything's facing in that arrowhead shape where it's all facing upwards, whereas clover is much more open and branched, and it has that little tiny triangle of the lighter green on the inside. That's a good way to depict it. Clovers are a lot flatter and they're bright and open. Everyone keeps calling it a trail nibble, and I kind of love that, because you're just walking along, going on a hike, and you go, oh, wood sorrel, and you just bite some and you keep on walking like it's a snack. Looks like making it into a salad is the easiest, but you have to find a whole huge field of it in order for it to be worth your while. Keep that in mind, but it looks like there is an entire recipe for wood sorrel soup, which is cool. Potatoes, celery, broccoli, olive oil, onions, salt and pepper to taste. There's other ways to use it in like sauces and desserts, but we're not gonna get into that because obviously I don't cook very much, so if you really care, there are some nifty recipes in this book. Go check them out if you want to. Nature's Garden. Let's get into Samuel Thayer. When I was 4 years old, my older sibling taught me to eat wood sorrel growing underneath the porch, and it was my first edible wild plant that I ever learned, so it means a lot to him, which I thought was pretty cool because there's actually a good amount of information on wood sorrel in here. This is kind of what I was talking about when I say there's just fields. See, there's also violet wood sorrel, so it has purple flowers instead of yellow flowers. Again, it's a trailside nibble. I love that so much. Probably no other wild green in North America is so well liked as a snack. Like many other cultivated vegetables, such as rhubarb, spinach, and other sorrels, wood sorrel is high in oxalic acid. Oxalic acid should be consumed in moderation, as we've mentioned before. It is hard to find an account or a recipe for any wild plant known to be this high in this chemical. In line with the preposterous double standard that is applied for wild foods, I have not seen a single oxalic acid warning in a cookbook, produce guide, or gardening manual pertaining to cultivated vegetables. That's because the oxalic acid danger is largely hypothetical, and problems associated with its consumption are unusual and extremely rare. Oxalic acid is a normal part of our diets and is always present in the body because it's produced internally. If wood sorrel is your primary food source for an extended period of time, or you ate an enormous amount at once, the oxalic acid might cause problems. However, that is generally irrelevant to real life. Basically, if you're eating a well-diverse diet, you're gonna be alright eating wood sorrel. And honestly, next time you see it, munch on it. Alright guys, I hope you found this video enjoyable. I hope that you now know about wood sorrel and you'll go out looking for some. Honestly, it's one of the most loved plants for a reason. It's delicious, and honestly, just nibbling on it as you're walking down the trail is a delightful way to spend the day. So, next time you're out, look for some wood sorrel, treat yourself, have a good day, and until next time, skål my friends.